Clara was folding the laundry, the hum of the washing machine filling the quiet apartment, when her phone buzzed sharply on the counter, making her jump slightly, and for a moment she hesitated, unsure if she wanted to look, because it could be anything, bills, reminders, or spam. But instead, she reached for it and froze when she saw the name flashing across the screen: Ethan. Ethan, her husband Liam's childhood friend. The boy who had been part of so many stories Liam had shared with her but whom she had never really met. Not properly, not really, and seeing his name made her heart flutter in a way that surprised her. A sudden mix of curiosity, nostalgia, and a strange, inexplicable tension that made her hands tremble slightly as she tapped to open the message. "Hi Clara. I hope it's okay I'm reaching out. It's been a long time, and I've been meaning to reconnect." She blinked at the screen, the words simple, almost casual, yet carrying a weight that made her stomach twist. Memories began to surface unbidden. Liam and Ethan racing down the streets of their neighborhood, bikes flying over cracks in the pavement, laughter echoing in the late summer air, nights by the riverbank where they had camped with friends, whispered secrets that had seemed so small then but were clearly important to Liam, moments that Clara had only heard secondhand, stories told with nostalgia in his voice and a warmth in his eyes. And now, reading words directly from Ethan, she felt as if a door to the past had creaked open, inviting her in, and she didn't know if she should step through. She set the laundry basket aside and sat down, phone in hand, feeling both excited and nervous, a little guilty too, because this was Liam's friend. And here she was alone, reading something that might belong to a chapter of his life she was only just beginning to touch. She thought about Liam, who was busy in the kitchen, humming softly as he prepared dinner, unaware of the storm of thoughts brewing in her mind, and she wondered what he would say if he knew Ethan had reached out, if he had felt the same sudden jolt of memory and longing that she felt now. Taking a deep breath, she typed a careful, polite reply, her fingers hesitating over each word, trying to find the balance between friendly and distant, because she didn't want to overstep but she couldn't deny the curiosity bubbling inside her. A need to know what had brought Ethan back after all these years, why he had remembered her name, why he had chosen to reach out now, and as she hit send, she felt a shiver run through her. A mix of anticipation and anxiety, because once you open a door to the past, you can never quite close it again. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours, the soft ticking of the clock loud in the quiet apartment, until finally a new message appeared. Ethan's words were warm, familiar, and somehow intimate without crossing lines, almost as if time had folded over itself and they were standing in the same yard Liam had described from so many years ago. And Clara felt her chest tighten at the memory of those stories. The way Liam had described Ethan's laughter, his thoughtful pauses, the way he had looked out for Liam in ways only a true childhood friend could, and suddenly, Clara realized that she was not just reading words on a screen, she was stepping into a part of Liam's life she had never fully known, a piece of history that had shaped him, and now by extension touched her. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in soft oranges and purples, Clara couldn't focus on anything else. Her mind kept drifting back to Ethan's message, the tone, the phrasing, the memories it awakened, and a strange warmth spread through her chest, an odd combination of excitement, curiosity, and a gentle longing that she couldn't quite name. When Liam returned from running errands, she tried to hide the fluttering in her heart, the sudden awareness that something had shifted in the air around her, a subtle tension, a quiet excitement that she couldn't explain but that made her smile a little more, laugh a little softer, and wonder what it would feel like to finally meet Ethan, to see if the boy from Liam's stories matched the man in the messages, and she imagined the streets he had described, the places they had been together, and a wistful ache filled her chest, a reminder of how much of life, even when shared, remained a mystery until experienced firsthand. That night, Clara lay awake, phone clutched loosely in her hand, replaying each word of Ethan's message in her mind, imagining the sounds of his voice, the memories he carried, and feeling a pull she hadn't expected, a gentle tug toward something that belonged to the past but had somehow found its way into the present, making her heart race and her thoughts spiral in ways both thrilling and unnerving, and she realized that this reconnection, simple as it seemed on the surface, carried the power to stir emotions she hadn't touched in years, to awaken a sense of longing and nostalgia that was both beautiful and dangerous, because once the past knocks at your door, even softly, it has a way of changing the rhythm of your life, of making ordinary days feel charged, of reminding you that love, friendship, and memory are threads that never truly break. And just when she thought she could settle into the quiet of the night, Ethan's final line hit her like a whisper carried on the wind. Words that made her heart skip, that made her breath catch and linger. "I remember the day you first smiled at me and I never forgot it." Clara held the phone close, the screen glowing softly in the dark room, feeling a rush of emotion she had not anticipated. Wonder, longing, curiosity, and a faint, tender ache of connection to a life that had once been only stories and was now unfolding in her hands. And she knew deep down that nothing would ever feel the same again, that the past had arrived unannounced, and with it, a promise of memories to be relived, emotions to be felt, and perhaps, a journey that would change her, Liam, and the quiet rhythm of their ordinary days forever. The days that followed were a whirlwind for Clara, every morning waking with a flutter in her chest as her phone lit up with another message from Ethan, each one pulling her deeper into a world of memories she had only ever glimpsed through Liam's stories, and each one leaving her both exhilarated and uneasy, because the way he wrote made her feel connected not just to him but to a past she had never known firsthand, the laughter of boys racing through sunlit streets, the quiet secrets shared beside the riverbank, the feeling of warm summer evenings when the world seemed endless and possibilities infinite, and Clara couldn't help but smile at the thought, a soft, private smile that Liam noticed sometimes when he looked at her and wondered why she seemed so content yet distracted at the same time. And each message felt like a gentle tug on her heart, a reminder of how vibrant youth could be, how alive emotions could remain even decades later, and she found herself rereading every sentence Ethan sent, lingering on certain words longer than necessary, imagining him speaking them aloud, seeing the faint curve of a smile, the quiet way his eyes might light up, and she wondered if Liam remembered the exact same moments or if the way he had told her about them had already colored her perception, shaping her thoughts in ways she couldn't fully articulate, and still she felt drawn, pulled toward an encounter that had begun innocently with words on a screen but now seemed inevitable, as if the past itself had conspired to demand her attention. Then one evening Ethan suggested meeting for coffee, something simple, a casual reunion in the old part of town that had hardly changed since Liam and Ethan were boys, a place where memories seemed etched into the very walls, and Clara's heart raced at the thought, excitement and fear tangled in her chest, because she knew she should tell Liam, but a part of her hesitated, afraid that the moment would lose its magic if she revealed too much, and yet another part of her longed for his presence, his blessing, because after all, he was her husband, the center of her life, the one who had shared those stories, the one who had laughed at Ethan's mischief and admired his loyalty, and Clara spent the night imagining the meeting, rehearsing what she might say, imagining Ethan's face, older now, yet carrying the same spark that Liam had described, and the hours passed. With her lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, mind racing, a soft ache of anticipation mixed with longing that she hadn't felt in years, a reminder of how powerful connection could be, and how memory could stir emotions long thought dormant. The next morning, Clara prepared herself carefully, choosing clothes that made her feel confident yet approachable, her reflection in the mirror showing a woman both curious and nervous, someone caught between excitement and uncertainty, and as she left the apartment, phone tucked safely in her bag, she felt a strange thrill, as if stepping into the streets of her own city had become a step into another world, one filled with history, warmth, and unspoken possibilities, and every familiar corner seemed to whisper reminders of childhood adventures, of the times Liam had spoken fondly of Ethan, and of the feeling that history was alive, waiting to be revisited. Arriving at the cafe, small and tucked between two bookstores that smelled faintly of old pages and coffee, Clara felt her pulse quicken. The bell above the door jingled softly as she stepped inside, scanning the room, heart hammering, until her eyes landed on Ethan, seated by the window, looking out at the street with a quiet ease that contrasted with the storm inside her, and for a moment neither spoke, the air between them charged with the weight of unspoken memories, shared stories, and the strange intimacy of someone who knew Liam in ways she had never experienced, and yet, despite the awkwardness of the first seconds, a smile spread across Ethan's face, warm, familiar, inviting, and Clara felt a flicker of relief and comfort, realizing that perhaps this meeting long anticipated could be gentle and natural, a bridge between past and present, between stories and reality. Conversation began slowly, carefully, as they exchanged greetings, words measured but soft, polite but layered with meaning, and soon, the conversation opened into laughter, memories, and shared understanding, as Ethan recounted tales of their childhood, moments of mischief, lessons learned, and unspoken bonds, and Clara listened enthralled, her imagination painting vivid scenes of a younger Liam and Ethan, running through streets, lying on the grass beneath starlit skies, whispering dreams and secrets, and she felt a warmth in her chest, a connection to a past she had never touched but was now experiencing, as if time had folded, letting her walk beside them in those remembered moments. Hours seemed to stretch yet pass too quickly as they shared stories, Clara laughing softly, occasionally touching her lips in thought, feeling emotion she hadn't expected, a mix of nostalgia, admiration, and something tender and unnameable, a reminder that human connections leave marks, subtle yet lasting, and that sometimes the past returns not to haunt, but to enrich, to deepen understanding, to awaken empathy and gratitude. And with each tale she understood more about Liam, about the boy he had been, the man he had become, and the friends who had shaped him, and she realized that Ethan's presence, his careful words, and his memories were gifts, bridges to the life Liam had lived before her, and she felt a deep, gentle love for both of them in different ways, for Liam, her husband, and for the history that Ethan carried so faithfully. When Ethan spoke of moments of quiet vulnerability, of fears and hopes shared with Liam that he had never revealed to anyone else, Clara's heart swelled with a mix of awe and tenderness, because it was rare to glimpse the unguarded soul of someone who had shaped her husband's life, and it made her see Liam in a new light, the boy who had laughed, stumbled, and grown with a loyal friend by his side, and she realized that love and friendship, memory and time, were intertwined in ways that could surprise and move her deeply. As the afternoon faded into evening, the sunlight dimming to gold, Clara felt a bittersweet ache, a desire to linger yet knowing moments must end, and when Ethan finally stood to leave, he handed her a small envelope, carefully sealed, and smiled softly, eyes meeting hers in a gaze that conveyed understanding, history, and gentle respect, and Clara, hands slightly trembling, took the envelope, sensing that its contents would hold words meant to bridge past and present, words meant to deepen the connection they had begun. And as she watched him walk away into the soft glow of twilight, she felt her pulse quicken, heart full of questions, anticipation, and a tender hope that the story was far from over, that the past had returned not to complicate, but to remind her of the depth of human connection, the beauty of memories, and the possibility of discovering new layers of love, loyalty, and understanding that could only be revealed when you allowed yourself to step gently into the echoes of the past. And Clara knew, as she held the envelope close, that nothing would feel ordinary again, that the world had subtly shifted, carrying with it the promise of more stories, more emotions, and the quiet thrill of a heart learning once more how to be captivated by life, love, and the intricate dance of memory, friendship, and longing. And with that thought, she walked home slowly, every step filled with reflection, excitement, and a sense of gentle wonder at the journey that had begun, knowing that the meeting had changed her in ways she could not yet name, and that the path ahead, filled with tenderness, emotions, and stories waiting to be uncovered, was hers to explore, step by step, word by word, heartbeat by heartbeat, as the past whispered softly, reminding her that some connections are timeless, and some hearts, once touched, never forget. The morning of the final meeting, Clara's heart raced like a drumbeat she could feel in her chest, a mix of anticipation, nervousness, and a fluttering curiosity that refused to be quieted, and as she dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that felt effortless yet presentable, she felt the weight of every step she had taken leading up to this day, the messages, the laughter, the stories, the quiet longing, and the thrill of reconnecting with a past that had always seemed distant yet never forgotten. And when she arrived at the cafe where she and Ethan had agreed to meet, the small bell above the door jingled as she stepped inside, sending a soft, musical note into the air. And there he was, Ethan, seated by the window, sunlight catching the edges of his hair, the quiet intensity in his eyes that made her heart skip a beat, the same spark Liam had often described in his childhood stories. And for a moment time seemed to freeze, the hum of the cafe, the chatter of other patrons, and the soft clinking of cups fading into background noise as she took in the sight of him, feeling a strange and unexpected mixture of familiarity and awe, like meeting a character she had only imagined into life. Their initial greetings were tentative, polite, careful, each word measured but warm, carrying undercurrents of years spent apart and the silent acknowledgement of the shared history that bound them to Liam and to each other in ways neither could fully explain. And as the conversation began, it flowed almost effortlessly, a surprising ease that made Clara laugh softly at memories of mischievous summer adventures, nights by the river, and childhood pranks that Liam had only hinted at, all of it coming alive in Ethan's voice, in his expressions. In the subtle way he recalled details that painted vivid pictures of a past that was both distant and immediate, and Clara found herself leaning in, slightly hanging on to each word, her imagination dancing between the boy Liam had been and the man Ethan had become, bridging decades with stories, laughter, and the delicate, almost imperceptible tension of unspoken emotions that hovered lightly in the air like a fragrance, familiar and intoxicating. A reminder that some connections endure quietly, persistently, and profoundly. Hours slipped by unnoticed, punctuated only by shared smiles, soft laughter, and thoughtful pauses where each seemed to savor the presence of the other. The gentle intimacy of two people exploring the contours of memories, feelings, and the history of someone they both cared for deeply, and Clara felt her heart swell with a mixture of emotions: admiration for Ethan's loyalty and kindness, awe at the depth of their friendship, gratitude for the glimpses into Liam's life before her, and an unexpected tenderness that warmed her in ways she hadn't anticipated, a subtle, steady ache of human connection that reminded her of the beauty in stories, in memory, in the threads that weave people together across time. And as the sunlight shifted, painting soft golden streaks across the table, Ethan reached into his bag and handed her a small envelope, carefully sealed, eyes meeting hers with a gaze that conveyed respect, warmth, and understanding, and Clara, hands slightly trembling, accepted it, sensing that the contents were meant not just to be read but to be felt, a quiet testament to the bond that had endured silently through the years. And as she held it, a gentle tension filled her chest, anticipation mingling with an almost sacred reverence for what this meeting represented. A bridge between past and present, a moment where stories became tangible, where history touched the present, and where emotions long stored found their way into reality. Walking back slowly, Clara's mind replayed every word, every smile, every pause, every laugh, every delicate shift in tone, and she realized that the experience had changed her, expanded her, made her see Liam in new layers of complexity, depth, and love, not to mention the history that had quietly shaped him into the man she married. And she understood with sudden clarity that relationships are never just about the present. They are built on stories, memories, shared experiences, and the invisible threads connecting people across time, and that Ethan's return, though simple and polite, had stirred a resonance in her heart that was both nostalgic and transformative. A gentle reminder that the past is never really gone, that love and friendship endure, and that sometimes the most unexpected encounters illuminate truths we hadn't noticed before. When Clara returned home, she found Liam waiting, a soft smile on his face, noticing the way she held herself, the quiet glow in her eyes, the way her thoughts seemed elsewhere yet focused entirely, and he asked lightly if the meeting had been good, his voice carrying warmth and curiosity, and Clara, with a mixture of relief and joy, nodded, feeling the delicate balance of honesty and discretion, knowing that Ethan's presence had not disrupted her marriage but had enriched it, revealing layers of her husband she hadn't fully seen and offering her a deeper appreciation for the love, loyalty, and history that bound them together. And as she sat down beside Liam, opening the envelope Ethan had given her, she felt her pulse quicken, her breath catch, and her heart swell with the unexpected gift of words written with care, memories recounted with tenderness, and emotions expressed with a quiet honesty that transcended time. And in that moment, Clara realized that life, love, and friendship are intricate, subtle, and endlessly beautiful, and that sometimes the return of someone from the past is not a threat or a challenge, but a reminder of the depth and richness of human connection, the fragile and persistent beauty of memory, and the enduring power of kindness, loyalty, and love. And as Liam reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining, she felt a calm certainty that this chapter, this encounter, this gentle stirring of the past, had not changed their love but had strengthened it, deepened it, added layers of gratitude and understanding, and opened a quiet door to emotions she hadn't realized were waiting, emotions that were tender, profound, and utterly human. And as the evening light softened into twilight, Clara allowed herself to savor the mixture of wonder, nostalgia, affection, and quiet excitement that filled her heart, understanding that some stories do not end, they evolve, linger, and enrich life in ways both subtle and transformative, leaving her with a lingering warmth, a tender ache of reflection, and the comforting knowledge that love, memory, and connection are never truly lost, only waiting patiently for the right moment to return, softly, unexpectedly, and completely. as the heart learns once again how to feel deeply, freely, and fully.